What? This is 2022? Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived and announced that Biden had got to go to bed. Oh no. They do not let this man have a moment, which I think is pretty funny, but probably smart. Okay. White House press briefing is happening as Democrats are debating around Biden's path forward. The caucuses are occurring today. Okay. We are going to be talking about that, obviously. Yeah. The Democrats have gotten together and they are deciding. The current press briefing is so bad here. We'll tune in live to see what the fuck is going on, and then we'll get to other shit.
I remember you were asked about it by reporters and you said, we shouldn't read too much into the fact that he's skipping one dinner. I mean, would the explanation actually have been that he was tired and that he needed to skip something that was happening so late in the evening?
And my answer stays the same. I wouldn't read too much into it. It's not the first time that he has. He has a really busy schedule, and there's a lot going on. As you know, when the president is abroad, he has continued to do domestic stuff as well as meeting with global leaders. And so I truly would not read too much into it, and I will leave it there.
Okay, I have a very final question on the annual
Sure.
letter from Dr. O'Connor. He said that the president continues to be fit for duty and fully executes all of his responsibilities without any exemptions or accommodations. Just because it's been a couple of months, do you know if that statement is still accurate?
It's still accurate.
So no exemptions, no accommodations?
No exemptions, no accommodations.
Thank you.
Accurate. Thank you.
There was an announcement from the Department of Justice.
Yeah, she's a pretty bad press secretary. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's no reason to hide that at all. She's just not very good. Anyway, here's Axios reporting on this. Just before the House Democrats Tuesday morning come to Jesus meeting on Biden's path forward, a smaller group of swing district Democrats held what sources described as a despondent gathering with actual tears. Oh my fucking God, dude. I'm telling you right now, for the next, however many months as it is until fucking November, I guess it's like 4. Every single day, you are going to hear about how old Biden is and how he is going to die. Okay? If he does not drop out, and it seems like he's not going to, for the record, because he's very firmly committed to staying in the race, and the rest of the Democrats are going to have to, cave on his wishes because he is God King Emperor. I'm telling you right now, for the next 4 months, this is going to be the only media narrative, unless God Almighty wills it. Okay? Since 2016, it's felt like the DNC speedrunning losing their voter base, but it might just be recency bias. No, this is one of the unique instances where I think the Democratic Party is actively trying to do something about it, but are kind of cooked. I'm telling you right now, no. The Democratic Party this time around is legitimately trying to do something about it. I've never seen... dude, come on. You don't see high-ranking Democratic Party centrist establishment defenders come out and be like, I love this guy, but he has to drop out. That's crazy. That is unheard of. That did not happen with Hillary Clinton. Obviously, it would not have happened with Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton was also defeating Donald Trump at the polls and was not seen as demented. She was just seen as evil, right? Which Democrats don't care about that. But the reality of the matter is right now you actually have Democrats, establishment Democrats, institutional Democrats, centrist Democrats who love Biden, legitimately love Biden, love his legacy, are absolutely worried about the future of the party. Why did AOC endorse him so fast? I covered this extensively yesterday. Obviously, I'm going to have to repeat all of the statements that I made yesterday. As soon as Summer Lee was the first out of the squad that was asked about this question, as soon as I saw what she said, I recognized that the progressives are going to stay out of the conversation. They're just gonna be like, yeah, Biden's the candidate. He's the GOAT. It's awesome. I think AOC went above and beyond in her statement. I don't think she should have done that. I don't think she should have gone as far as she did. Mike said you're coping. No, I think that's they're playing politics, but I think that's what they're, and this is pure speculation, but I think that's what they're doing. Because ultimately it's like, if they're coming out strong, it doesn't mean anything. And it only has the capacity to to negatively polarize people against or negatively polarize people towards fucking defending Biden. But ultimately, I think she does not have the best political instincts in the way that she's playing politics. It's a win-win for her. But I think ultimately she should not have gone above and beyond in the way that she did. Bernie Sanders has been doing that too. But remember, I think ultimately this is on the hands of the actual Democrats with institutional power. They are the ones who are trying to fix the situation. This is not AOC or Ilhan Omar's battle. I don't think they see it as their own battle. I think they see it as like, well, this is your thing, fix it. We're just going to bring the youth vote. Come November. That's our job. We're just going to keep pumping that. It doesn't really matter. Trying to prove you're a team player to a team that hates you will always have you looking foolish. I think that's their own calculation. That's my assessment. And I might be totally wrong on it. Like I said, it's pure speculation. And I don't like the message that came from AOC. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was smart. I think there's a much better way to stay out of it. Or even if you're going to say I care about the policies, that's what I'm here for. That's the classic Bernie Sanders talk. Anytime there's palace intrigue, Bernie hits that line. It's policy time, baby. I don't give a shit what's going on. Okay. And I think she was trying to do that. And I don't think she did a good job with it. And ultimately though, my speculation, like I said, is just they're trying to stay out of it. But having said that, who knows what happens at the end of this caucus, but it does kind of seem like maybe they're just going to go with Joe, Isn't AOC another pressure point on Biden? No. Nancy Pelosi, we need you to be the grand mamala of the country. Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, the former speaker, has privately told people she's deeply uneasy with Biden staying in. She loves him, but she's ruthlessly practical. See, that's what I'm saying. When you got Nancy Pelosi coming out of the fucking gates and saying shit I don't know if Biden should be the guy, it's not up to AOC to say anything. If we're thinking about this from the perspective of the ideological boundaries that are set inside of the Democratic Party, the smartest thing to do is just, let the chaos pass over you. Don't touch it, This is not a moment where this, in my opinion, is not a moment where you want to be a standout person, especially when the big dogs that normally would be the ones defending Biden are the ones who are telling Biden to, in polite terms, leave. You know what I mean? I'm so glad the U.S. has no maximum age limit for presidents. This is so much better than letting someone under the age of 60 run. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. If you're black-pilled, you just look at the situation and you're well, at least fun stuff are happening. Fun stuff is happening. Wall Street Journal, German officials aware of Biden's fatigue at night sought to accommodate the president by planning a June 2022 event with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in early evening. What? This is 2022? The informal event, a soiree at the Alpine resort Schloss Elmau, during the Group of Seven summit, was arranged as a confidential meeting on Ukraine in a relaxed setting. Biden didn't show up, surprising the chancellor and his aides, officials said. Instead, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived and announced that Biden had got to go to bed. Oh no. More, as some fundraising events, the campaign allows a few impromptu moments with the president, even with top donors. So they have this man in a vat, okay? They do not let this man have a moment, which I think is pretty funny, but probably smart. It's just the issue is it's no longer as smart. It's not necessarily smart when, everybody in the country, everybody in the dang nation is talking about how old this guy is. Right now, Biden needs to be someone he's not. A younger person, a vibrant person, okay? And the reality is he can't, it's impossible for him to do so.
I'm going to go backwards, but just to share a little bit about that night. The president said it was a bad night. He talked about it. He had a cold, right? He talked about his schedule.
Told you.
Being abroad.
Yep.
And so we've spoke about what that night.
Told you. Members left the DNC. One thing is clear. House Dems increasingly think Biden is going to survive as the nominee. They're fucking cowards, baby. There ain't nothing they can do. What would you say that Trump has a good policy and you would like Biden to have that? What out of Trump's policies? Having a thick ass? Pretty much. I think that's it. The only low key from the way that Trump operates, there's a couple things that he's done that has become the norm. Okay. Obviously, using the CDC rules to like shut down immigration. That was one big one. Another one that has become the norm is also the tariffs on China. Biden is literally continuing the tariffs and adding new tariffs on China and running on adding new tariffs on China. Another thing that Trump did that the Biden administration is also following on is mostly just like all the foreign policy stuff. The Biden admin has, verbatim copied and pasted Donald Trump's foreign policy with some exceptions. And I wouldn't say it's a good thing. I think that's a very bad thing. But even on the NATO front, I suspect that Donald Trump is not anti-NATO. Donald Trump is just saying we need to squeeze. He sees the writing on the wall and he says we need to squeeze the protection racket a little bit further. And originally, I would say in 2016, I always suspected that to be silly. And for the duration of the Trump presidency, I continued to say, that's silly. That's not how NATO works. NATO is for the defense contractors. NATO is a protection racket, but it's a protection racket that benefits the American corporations. You can't just I never thought that he would be anti-NATO. I don't think that he's anti-NATO anyway. But I do think that his opinion on NATO was, let's get more fucking money from these European cucks, these Euro cucks that we're, giving all these weapons to. It should be more than just influence peddling. It should be beyond that. They should just give us more money. It's like when the mafia is not doing well and they come in and they want extra money for the protection racket that they have going on. And I think that's what he was advocating for. And I think that will probably be kind of the policy in the same way that like people were very resistant towards tariffs. And then they just decided, no, that is the right thing to do politically. And I think that that's probably whatever future administration is continuing on that trajectory will probably also demand more from NATO, from the NATO alliances, But I don't think anybody's like abolishing NATO. Like Trump is certainly not.
Accomplishments. President's allies have made some version of that argument to not pay attention to what he said on stage, but what his accomplishments are. But when you're the president of the United States, don't words matter?
So when you're the president of the United States, I think any leader, right, especially including a former president, your words do matter. You're 100% correct. The president has owned up to that night. He said it was a bad night. He said this many times. He's even said he screwed up. So those are the president's words. That's all I can give you at this time. We do believe that we should not just look at the 90 minutes. The president has done more than any other modern day presidents, administrations. Historic things have gotten done. When I was watching the Democratic caucus, they talked about $35 insulin, right? Capping that. When you think about seniors who were paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars, we were able to get that done because of a very important piece of legislation that we moved through, right? And only Democrats made that happen. That's also because of the leadership of this president. And that's just one. That's a bipartisan infrastructure legislation. There's the CHIPS and Science Act. There's the PACT Act for our veterans. I mean, there are things that he's been able to do that elected officials, presidents before him have been trying to do and could not get done, beating Big Pharma. So there is a long list of impressive things that this president has been able to get done, getting us out of the pandemic, that we do believe is important to note here as well as an accomplishment of this presidency.
Another question that I don't think has been asked, correct me if it has. The White House and also the campaign has said that he had a cold that night. He then went to a watch party afterwards, which you have brought up. I was at that watch party. If he did have a cold, why then push him to another event where he spent some 45 minutes along the rope line? I
mean, and not just, and I would add to that, it wasn't just a watch party. We landed at 2 a.m. in the morning in North Carolina. He greeted hundreds of North Carolinians in North Carolina. He woke up the next day in North Carolina.
I don't know why, for a brief moment, I thought the Democratic Party would do like the courageous thing and the right thing, right, for its own survival. But I do think that it might be Jover in terms of like Joe Biden continuing. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But this is a big week. And barring like Joe literally fucking having a medical emergency, and they might even push through the medical emergency depending on when it happens. Okay. They might just be fucking circling. Is the circling the wagons the right term? Like they're gearing up for the Brandon run. They're doing the Brandon push. Her explanation hurts the fucking argument, saying he kept going into meetings and greetings while he was sick. Yeah, he's an old man. It's fine. Old man diseases don't kill young, vibrant individuals. I think the DNC doesn't care about losing to Trump. They can fundraise easily. No. I think that's the things that I have heard from top Democratic establishment officials are quite unlikely. Okay. They are unique. They are not normal things that you hear from the likes of Nancy Pelosi, from the likes of, like committee leaders and shit. Like, nah, this time is like, you're making stuff up. Which ones? Brother, is your head directly in the fucking sand over the course of the past week? Nancy Pelosi is the one who voluntarily, Speaker Emeritus, voluntarily came out and on television said, the people deserve to know if this is a one-off or if this is an episode or if this is a continuing problem. She also leaked to news outlets that the former speaker has privately told people she's deeply uneasy with Biden staying in. She loves him, but she's ruthlessly practical. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries is one of the most cautious politicians in America, so it's hard to see him making a dramatic move. Pelosi, whose office says she has full confidence in Biden, could play the heavy. Biden respects her iconic stature and knows she pulled miraculous moves to pass the legislative agenda. He would listen reluctantly, but he'd listen to her, a person close to Biden tells us. This information does not get out unless Nancy Pelosi wants it out, okay? In my life, I've never fucking seen someone who is such a establishment figurehead, a bulwark for the Democratic Party, come out and say the top of the ticket is personally not the best person and we need to swap him out before it's too late. You don't understand. Then why aren't they organizing more powerfully beyond a whisper campaign if they actually know he's likely to lose and they actually care about not losing? I've already told you. I explained this yesterday. This is, okay, a couple of reasons. Reason number one, Democrats are pussies, okay? That's just like they don't want to rock the boat, usually. Even in instances where they don't have a lot to lose, they still don't want to rock the boat. They're cowards, okay? So that's number one. Number two, in this circumstance, the actual calculation is dire. The actual calculation is pretty serious because if they were to outwardly shit on Biden aggressively, instead of just being like, hey, we love you, you should probably step aside. It would be cool if you did that, okay? And try to communicate to him through the television that he needs to fucking step aside. If they just keep it at that and then Biden listens, then it's perfect. Then they can quietly put together a new person, most likely Kamala Harris, and find a solid VP for Kamala Harris and put their best foot forward. If they do it loudly, if they proclaim that Biden is shit, he's old, and Biden refuses to fucking drop out, then it's chaos. You understand? And the Democrats, the one thing that the Democrats cannot do right now is be chaotic, because the major reason why people want to vote for the Democrats, and even they recognize this, is that they are organized. They are a serious party. They are not the weird, sweaty, psychopathic, anti-abortion, anti-democracy party. That is legitimately their number one advantage over the Republicans. Okay. So obviously they can't fuck that up. So it makes sense as to why you are trying to do a quiet whisper campaign behind closed doors and strengthen the ranks against Biden and try to figure out how you can, get Biden out and put a new person in swiftly. Okay. This is a very chaotic moment that the Democrats are trying their very best to basically try to seem as organized as possible. The only issue is Biden is deeply narcissistic, deeply selfish, and refusing to listen to those calls. Okay? He's refusing to listen to those calls and, dare I say, taking advantage, knowing full well potentially that these guys can't come out and make bold proclamations. So he's just kind of saying, oh, nobody wants me out. What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. Everybody loves me, knowing full well that the Democratic Party can't fucking say, get the fuck out of the way. He is stubborn and he is banking on what the Democratic Party has always banked on, which is that all of these donors and all of the Democrats ultimately will fall in line because they are too fearful of giving a major dub to Donald Trump. So they will shut the fuck up and elect a ham sandwich if that is what is necessary. And that's precisely what he is relying on right now. Okay? And I believe that is what the future looks like right now. Everything that I've seen so far makes me feel as though that is going to be possibly the next 4 months. Whatever the Dems are doing is backfiring. New spin is the rich districts want him out and the poor districts want him. He's a man of the people. What? No, that spin fucking sucks. That's awful. It's like taking your grandparents' key. If you take them by force, then it's chaos. If they give them up willingly, then it's better for all involved. I hate that spin. I know it's spin, but it's just like such bad spin. Anyway, aid sometimes steps in to help. At a fundraiser in New York around the time of the UN General Assembly last fall, Biden seemed at a loss, trying to answer questions about Middle East from people in a photo line. An aide whispered in Biden's ear. The person said that the president answered. During a fundraiser at a Four Seasons in New York in June 2023, Biden spoke for 5 to 10 minutes, then took a few questions and said the attendees who bought a ticket. At one point, Biden couldn't recall the word for veteran. The president asked the group to help him find the word, saying he wanted to refer to a person who had served in the Army or Navy. Officials said when Biden tripped, it was a commonplace accident, but nonetheless recognized as damaging political optics of Biden tumbling to the ground. In the following months, they took extra precautions to make sure he didn't trip again. He started wearing sneakers more often for better traction, and he often used shorter stairs when boarding Air Force One. I don't know what that means. How do you do shorter stairs? It's the same plane. I mean, this is basically a Wall Street Journal article that this person is summarizing for the record. I'm not just like looking at a random Twitter thread. Oh, more steps? Yeah. And information is coming out from the Senate and the House of Representatives Democratic caucus sessions, and it does seem like they're just going to go with Joe. We got a ways to go. Senator Peter Welch from Vermont says of Senate Dems being unified and believing Biden is Dems' best person to beat Trump. Asked what he meant by that, Welch says, I don't have my thoughts put in an orderly process that meets your editorial standards. Chuck Schumer answers all questions 3 at this post-lunch press conference the same way regarding support for Biden staying on as the Dem nominee. I'm with Joe. Here's that video right now.
Are you confident that President Biden has what it takes to win in November and serve the next 4 years?
As I've said before, I'm with Joe.
Senator
Yes.
Schumer, do you expect, based on differences of opinion in the Democratic Party about the president, his ability to serve, there might be a challenge or a convention? And if there is there the ability to throw out the virtual nomination?
As I've said before, I'm with Joe.
Anyway, latest, President Biden's biggest supporters and skeptics in the Senate remained at odds after a closed-door meeting on Tuesday afternoon. Oh, God. Ugh. Anyway, okay. Let's get back to this fucking shit show of a press conference, and then we'll move on a little bit if there's not enough drama.
That I can speak to from here. Go ahead, Karen.
Thank you. The president's come out very aggressively in the past 24 hours. That letter to Democrats, the call into MSNBC, the phone call with donors, the CPC last night. Was that his decision personally to step up that outreach?
It has been. He's ready. He's on fire. He's ready to go, and he wants to get out there and continue to show that he has more work to do. Right? He has more important issues for the American people to get done, and so he wants to get out there. He's always has, though. I mean, the last 2.5 years, 3 years, 3.5 years, he looks forward to getting out there, speaking directly to the American people. And I know we say this, and I know sometimes you guys don't believe us, but he does want to engage with you all. He does want to talk to the press. And so now we're certainly going to continue to create opportunities to do that. He's done interviews 47 times in this year alone, and we're going to continue to create opportunities to do this. We're going to get out there so he can engage with the American people more directly. So we're going to continue to do that.
But in terms of, especially in the last 24 hours, that type of outreach to ease concerns among Democrats about his campaign continuing, was there something specific that he heard or read that prompted this, would seem more like a flurry over the last 24 hours, that didn't happen last week? We really saw him doing more.
No, I get it. Yesterday. No, I get the question. Look, I wouldn't say there's anything specific. This is something that he wanted to do. And if you think about it, he's been on the road a lot since the debate. He was on the road on Friday, he was on the road on Sunday, and then right out of the debate, right, he did 2.5 days of going into about 4 states. So he's just been on the road, busy, engaging with Americans. And he did the ABC interview, as you know, obviously. And so he wants to do more. He wants to do more. There's nothing specific, but he understands. He understands what you all saw, right? He understands he had a bad debate. He understands that what Americans saw. So he wants to go out there and continue to prove to all of you that he can continue to do the work and the job.
That outreach is
Okay, I can't keep listening to this over and over again.